Hello, Ghosties. This is Pheno, and today we're back with another episode of the card reviews for the upcoming expansion of Duelyst. Hopefully it has not dropped by the time this video goes up, but even if it has, here are my thoughts and opinions on the final batch of cards. I think one will be missing from the overall set, just because I don't think it's been released yet, but we will find out very soon what it will be. But for right now, let's get into the cards that are released and talk through my thoughts. And I'd love to know you guys' opinions down in the comment section below of all of the cards that we cover today. So the first card we're going to talk about today is Legion. Legion is incredibly cool. This card is going to be fantastic, I think. I think that this card is going to be legit. And the reason for that is its ability. So it is a 3-cost 3/2, which is fine. But it's an intensify. Put one Crestfallen into your action bar, shuffle a copy of this minion into your deck. That is legit. So being able to drop tons of provoke minions down on the board is awesome. And the fact that you get a Crestfallen, which is a 1-cost 1/2 with Zeal Provoke, means that you can surround your general pretty effectively, and it also gives you wonderful minions and just infinite cards to play, which is really, really nice. On top of that, you have the Legion that goes back into your deck. So it's a card that you're going to be able to intensify over and over and over. Granted, you're going to hit a certain point where that intensify is no longer worth it, and you're going to start burning your Crestfallens. But I do think that this card has a lot of really cool potential. Stats-wise, maybe a 3-cost 2/3 could have been a little bit better. They make it a little bit beefier, but I mean, really, no matter how you flip the 3 and the 2, it's probably going to die pretty quickly. But I do think Legion is going to be a spectacular card, and I can't wait to see what happens with it. And I do think that it's going to synergize very well with a card that we're also going to be talking about a little bit later in the video. I can't wait to see what happens with that. Motor Maw! This card is awesome. So, Motor Maw is Thunderhorn on steroids. This card is awesome. There is no way around it. This is a Magmar specific ranged minion. Whenever this minion attacks, it also damages all enemies around its target. That is bonkers powerful. That is crazy. Damages enemies around. So you could ping and just murder the general. You can buff the shit out of this card and just wreck face. This is fantastic. It is phenomenal board clear for Magmar. It is going to be crazy. It's going to blend well into all types of different decks. It's going to give Magmar something that I think Magmar has kind of been missing out on, and that is like a ideal, perfect, always turn 5 drop. You have Lava Slasher, who also sits at 5 mana, but you typically try to get the Lava Slasher out on turn 4 to deal with any cards that turn. So you drop the golems, you get it down to 4. This is an always 5-cost card that has crazy potential. It is also the same stats as Warbeast, but costs less, and could clear theoretically just as much stuff if it survives till the next turn. Losing the rush comparatively to Warbeast does make it a little bit rougher to get the damage out. But I see this card being spectacular, and I see it potentially being run in a lot of great decks. I think Motor Maw is very cool. I think it's going to allow for some really cool stuff. It really is, I think, a class-specific Thunderhorn style card. Granted, it can't like just chain and blitz across the entire board, but a proper ping of this could theoretically clear just as many minions as Thunderhorn or Warbeast, and that is really cool. Mirror Rim is the next card that we're going to be talking about. This card is pretty cool, and I think that it's going to be in a lot of Intensify heavy decks, maybe not even only Intensify heavy decks. It is a neutral minion, and it is a common. It is very cheap, and it is very cool. So, opening Gambit, shuffle 3 copies of a friendly minion into your deck. The synergy with this card for Intensify is bonkers. Being able to just, like, get more minions that can buff off of that. If they have a similar card like this that pertains to spells, that is also going to be crazy. And I really hope that there is one. I would love to see something that shuffle 3 copies of the last spell you played into your deck. Something like that I think could be really, really cool as well, and give the Intensify even more opportunity to get buffed to crazy proportions, or even just a card that you can play that automatically puts Intensify tick up by 1, something like that. It is really cool. Mirror Rim is going to be a card that is probably in every Intensify deck. It's also going to be in a lot of decks that to assist in making up for maybe if you have a minion that you don't have 3 of, but you know the deck needs. I've had a lot of cases where I just wasn't able to craft up the proper amount of minions to make the deck truly viable. And what Mirror Rim does is it allows you to account for that. It allows you to be missing a couple Thunderhorns. It allows you to be missing a couple of those legendaries that you really want. And if you get that legendary out on the board and then follow with the Mirror Rim, you can put them back into your deck, and it can help fill your deck up and reconstruct it with those cards you need. It has a lot of potential. I do think Mirror Rim is going to be played pretty much across most decks, especially for newer players. I think that this card is going to be really nice if you get that really powerful creature and you're like, I really just wish I had more of these. Mirror Rim is going to be a wonderful way for you to kind of fill in those creatures in your deck. And it works great for even weaker minions, if there's anything weaker. This is going to be a fantastic card, I think, in Gauntlet. Being able to manipulate your deck a little bit and get those powerful cards and then be able to force more into your deck, increasing your odds of also getting the minion again. It's good. It's 1 cost, 2/1. It's going to die very, very, very quickly. But the fact of what it can do, this is more a spell card than a minion, I think. It's a spell card with a body, and that is really cool. This card is probably one of the most interesting and cool cards in the expansion so far, just because of the possibilities that it has. It allows you to create situations within your deck. This card comboed with Skarzig, this is where Skarzig's card gets potentially great, because it allows him to get more Skarzigs in the deck. So you could have those Skarzigs on the board. You could properly play. You could get armies of Feather Knights using stuff like this. That is really cool. And I really just cannot wait to see what happens with this card and what people come up with, because I think it's going to be interesting and it's going to be really cool to see. The next card we're going to talk about is War Exorcist, Power Incarnate. This card is bonkers good. It is a 5-cost 3/8, which is wonderful stats. Those stats are fantastic, especially considering the fact that the card is Provoke. The fact that the card has Provoke makes it just even that much better. At the start of your turn, Holy Immolation your damaged minions. The potential with this card is mind-bogglingly good. You have Crestfallens all over the board. You've got Legions all over the board. Any of those minions that have taken a little bit of damage are going to be able to nuke the board. You combo this with something that you drop on the board that deals 1 damage to everything. There's a lot of potential minions that do that right now. Scorn, I think, is the name of one of them. You ping all of your minions for some nice little damage, so they're all sitting a little bit low. You then drop this card, survive the turn, hopefully, that your minions all don't go down. It's going to be hard to set up for really crazy stuff, but this card could be bonkers, especially if you're the enemy generals around all of these damaged minions. It's just a cool card, and he gets the effect. So he's a 3/8. You're almost guaranteed to be able to proc it off of him, unless he sees silence, of course. But just move him over, and you're able to clear so nicely. The downside is that it's at the start of your turn, which means that the enemy general can play around this card very, very easily, because all he has to do is make sure that he doesn't leave anything alive with damage when he leaves his turn. If he can, that's fantastic. If not, it's going to hurt him. But because the card can be played around so easily, I don't know how crazy this card's going to end up being, but I think the card is very solid. It's a legendary, so it's going to take time for people to get all of them, be able to put a lot of them in their deck, be able to really, put that together. But this card has some crazy potential, and I cannot wait to see what people come up with this, because I just picture a whole board of wounded minions and this guy coming down, the turn starting, and the whole board just boom. I think it's going to be really cool, and I cannot wait to see what happens with this card. And the art's cool. Just the art is very cool. Accumulonibus is the next card we're going to be talking about. And I think this card is garbage. I do. I think that this card is garbage. I don't see this card getting run almost at all. I think it has some really cool synergy with a card that we talked about earlier last week. The Kumu Kamu card, where when it dies, it takes another dervish and basically consumes its body and becomes it. And that opens up some really cool possibilities with this card. But I think that this is a perfect example of a card that they knew would be too powerful if they put it at the price point it needed to be. And I don't think people are going to wait for this card to be great. You figure 4 cost for 2 dervishes is not good at all. That's awful. It's like legitimately bad. And then Intensify, you would assume, would be summon 4 wind dervishes nearby your general. So now you're getting a 4 cost for 4 dervishes. That's not bad. It's really not. It's not a bad play. But the downside is that you already burnt that 4 mana. You killed a turn for 2 dervishes, and because of how slow that is, I just don't see this card getting played. It sucks. It's got a lot of really cool potential, but I don't know. There might be some cool decks that build around this concept. I don't know. I feel like 4 mana for 6 dervishes is bonkers. I feel like 4 mana for 4 dervishes is good, but 4 mana for 2 dervishes is awful. Like, the initial sacrifice that you have to play in order to intensify this card is just not good. And that's if it doubles its ability. If it doesn't double, it's not as good. And I don't know if it doubles. If it goes summon 3 wind dervishes and then it goes summon 4 wind dervishes, then it's just garbage. This card, I don't see this card getting played at all unless the deck is specifically tuned to work with it. There's just so many better cards for 4. Lost in the Desert is a spectacular card that costs 4 that I just don't see anybody going, let's cut this, which takes 2 drops, 8 mana to make decent, over this card, which could just nuke the entire enemy board and deal 6 damage to the general. Like, I don't see this card getting played at all. And I was asked on stream last week what I thought of this card, and I actually had not seen the card yet. So, sorry for the incredibly delayed response. I just don't see the card being any good. I don't. I'm sure somebody out there is going to make the card legit, and they're going to build a deck around it. Yeah, I think this card's just crap. I don't see it being good because it takes way too long to ramp. This is a clearly defined card that Intensify just takes too long. If you have somebody who can do it and then you can buff it up properly, yeah, it might be a good, I'm going to run away and pop this and get a bunch of little dervishes. But I don't know. If it does turn out to be good, I think even for it to have a chance at being good, it has to also match the particular situation to be good. And I don't know. Art's cool. It's got cool little tornado dudes, which is always fun. But the actual card, I don't know. I don't think it's good. I'd love to know you guys' thoughts and opinions on it, though, down in the comment section below, because I think that this is a card that people are going to say, hey, this card is really cool, and other people are going to be like, yo, I agree with Pheno. So, yeah, awesome. Yeah, Accumulonimbus. I'm never going to pronounce that card again. I would not use this card just so I don't have to say it before I play it. The last card that we're going to be talking about today, and the last card that is currently released, I think there's one more card that will be released, but it will be out after I have time to get this video done, so apologies for that. You have to just wait until I open it up and get my thoughts in the orb opening, which will be happening as soon as the expansion goes up. My plan is to get it ready and record the opening, and just make sure that we're just flooded with orbs and cards and start putting some really fun and creative decks together and see what we can make happen with them. So, Angered Okadak. Art. Let's start with the art. Very cool card. It is a very nice blend of Magmar and Bird. I like that. It's a nice little card. And this is a card that I think is also borderline garbage. A 2-cost 1/2 is bad, like without a legitimate effect. A 2-cost 1/2 with Intensify, this minion gains +1/+1. That's not bad. It's not a bad card. Yeah, I lied. It's a bad card because by the time this card gets good, you have to. It's similar to the previous card we just discussed, where you play the card and it's not worth what you're playing. It's a 2-cost 1/2, which is bad. It's bad on a lot of levels. And then you get the Intensify perk of it, which then makes it a 2-cost 2/3, which puts it in line with every other 2-drop damn near in the game that doesn't have an effect. And then you get to roll it over into a 2-cost 3/4 for the final one that's potentially in your deck. And a 2-cost 3/4 is nice, but it takes way too long. That's a 6-mana ramp. It's just not worth it. I mean, in my opinion, this card is just not worth it. If you get all 3 in your hand and you're able to play it on turn 1, turn 2, and turn 3, then yeah, it lands a little bit better, but you're still losing out on the damage that you get on the initial play. The first time you play this card, it again falls into the garbage category. I really feel like this card should have been a 2-cost 2/3 out the gate. Intensify, this minion gains +1/+1. I don't know why they gave it 1 less attack. If it was a 2-cost 2/2, it would be way more feasible. It would be way more playable. It would still only ramp up to a max of a 2-cost 4/4, which is a great card. That is spectacular if you want to play around it. And it doesn't make the card completely garbage each other time you play it. A 2-cost 3/3 is very good. A 2-cost 4/4 is phenomenal. But a 2-cost 2/2 puts it right in the realm of being good and like at that playable point. And because of the way that they statted the card at a 2-cost 1/2, I don't think the card is playable. I really don't. I would love to see them change this to a 2-cost 2/2. I really do think that it would become a good card if it was a 2-cost 2/2, because then it's just much better value if you do want to play this card. Is it good for new players? Yeah, the card's probably pretty good for new players. I do see this card potentially being run in the early silver tier. For newer players, I would have run this card when I first started playing, because I would have been like, yo, the minion gets more powerful. That's great. But as a more experienced player, I just don't see the potential in the card. It takes too long to ramp up, similar to another one. Some of the Intensify cards, they play powerful. As soon as you drop the card, it's powerful. But some of the other ones are just, I think it's where they sit on the curve. And sadly, I don't think the angered Okadok is going to be played, and it's just going to make him more angry, and it makes me a little sad. But if you enjoyed this video and you enjoy what I just did for the past little while making cards, thoughts, and just opinions, please feel free to give the video a like, give it a share, and come back very soon. Feel free to check out some of the other great content here on the channel, and get ready for some new Duelyst content. I'm still waiting on the damn release date, which is incredibly ironic to say, considering that the expansion could literally be out when this video goes up. So we shall see. But thank you all very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please drop the like, give it a share, come back very soon for some more Duelyst content, or feel free to check out some of the other stuff here. I play all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. And as always, till the next video.